Kia ora everyone, thank you for joining Anu and I on the Wellbeing workshop that we've titled Helping Hands, How to Be There When It Matters Most. We came up with this workshop in response to some feedback on our previous wellbeing workshops on some people who wanted to know how they could better support their loved ones who are going through a difficult time. So yeah, it's facilitated by myself, Tessa, and Anu here. So before we get into things, I just wanted to start with an opening, just to bring us into the moment, to bring us into the present and help us to focus on the important stuff we're going to cover in the workshop today. And I just wanted to start with this quote from Amelia Earhart. A single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and the roots spring up to make new trees. So sometimes it can feel like our acts of kindness don't have much impact, but like the trees that are growing, it can sometimes take time for those ripple effects to happen, but they do happen. And I think it's just important to remind ourselves that all the acts of kindness that we do have an important impact. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my role at Mangere Health Centre. You're most welcome to make a one-to-one appointment with me on the phone or in person after this if you'd like some further support. So I'm an occupational therapist by training, and I support people in lots of different ways at the clinic. My main role here is to support people when they're going through challenges or transitions in life, whatever that might be. So it might be supporting someone who's going through a hard time, or supporting a person who is supporting the person who's going through a hard time. But I also support people in a wide range of areas. Some of these include stress, sleep, anxiety, depression, feeling down, pain, coping with physical health conditions, relationship challenges, parenting, child and youth well-being. So I see kids all the way up to older adults, pre and postnatal well-being, drug or alcohol use, but also other challenges like financial challenges or housing issues. There's lots of things we can do, and the sessions with me, they're free. They're about half an hour, and they focus on practical strategies to support us to get through life's challenges, or sometimes I can link people up with different supports as well. And that's me. On to you, Anu.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tessa. So I'm Anu, I'm the health coach based at Mangere Health Centre, and I work alongside with Tessa. So I help our patients with the health and well-being, things like learning about common health conditions such as prediabetes, diabetes, cholesterol, gout, or high blood pressure, managing health conditions, healthy eating and exercise, being smoke-free or reducing smoking as well, and then communicating with your doctor and nurses and how the other health professionals. So I can help you with connecting with those. And it's free, like Tessa's appointment. So you can just call the clinic or you can ask your doctor or nurse about the appointments. Okay, a few things before we jump in. Find a space where you will not be interrupted. And what you'll need is a pen and paper just to write some notes for yourself, and also a disclaimer that this workshop does discuss suicide. So if you do need any support afterwards, we will share some helpline numbers, and then you've also got Tessa's support as well if you need to reach out. And what to expect during this workshop. So understanding tough times and recognizing signs of distress, practical supports and strategies, and helping without burning out, what to do if someone is in crisis, community and professional support, and also we'll do a closing in the end. Over to you, Tessa.
So there's lots of reasons someone might need support. And I see this a lot in clinic when I'm supporting people who are supporting people. These are just a few. So it might be health issues, loneliness, lack of sleep, low mood, financial stress, relationship or family challenges, pain, trauma, a time of transition or change. Say maybe a child is moving from primary school to intermediate, or intermediate school to high school, or someone's moved countries or is a refugee, or maybe it's a transition into being a new parent or having a new child join your family. So there's lots of different things. And stress, of course, as well. So there's lots of different things. Some of them I won't have mentioned here as well. So a lot of these strategies can be applied to all of these different things. If you'd like some extra support, more one-to-one tailored support, you can always reach out to the clinic and just ask for an appointment with me on the phone or in person. So what is actually happening during a tough time for someone? So when we or someone else is going through a tough time, we don't only experience an emotional response, but also a physical response. So for example, when we're anxious, we are not only having racing thoughts and worries and thinking about the future and thinking about the past, but our body goes through a physical response. There is a physical response in our nervous system that affects other parts of our body. We go through what's called a fight, flight, or freeze response. And that's where our body kind of goes back to what it would have been like when humans lived in caves and there was say, a tiger that was coming to eat us. And the human either had to fight the tiger, flee from the tiger, or freeze and hope the tiger didn't notice us, which is a really helpful response in that time, but not so helpful now with today's modern problems. So things we might notice in our body include things like increased heart rate, muscle tension, sweating, um, jitteriness, um, yeah, lots of different things. We might also notice that it's harder to focus and concentrate. So often when people are going through a really stressful time, it's hard to to understand big ideas or to take information in. We've often got our blinders on and we're just trying to survive and get through. So sometimes when someone's going through a really challenging time, they might not take in all of the different things that you're saying to them. So that's where, and we can talk about this later, but where really clear communication, simple communication is really important. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about what does distress actually look like. We've talked a little bit about it so far, but things we might see, particularly with someone who's going through a stressful time or is angry or grieving. So these are some signs of distress. Wanting to be alone or around others more. Sometimes people will eat more, a lot more, or sometimes people will lose their appetite and eat less. Some people will sleep in lots. Some people will sleep a lot less and not be able to sleep and be really tired. Some people will have a short fuse and start yellowing. Some people might shower or brush their teeth less. Some people, it looks like crying. We also need to think about facial expressions. So some people may go kind of blank. Some people may look really angry. Some people may look really upset. Some people may try and cope by doing everything that needs to be done around the house. That might be their way of avoiding their feelings and what's going on. And for some people, they might do way less. They might stay in their room, not do much at all that they usually do. And here we've also got stopping doing things they enjoy. So they might stop doing their hobbies, engaging with family, things they would normally do. They're just not themselves. And some people experience what we call psychotic symptoms. This is a very small group, but they might start talking to people who others can't see. They might hear or see things that others cannot. They might feel things or say they're getting special messages from the TV or radio. And definitely, if you notice that your family member is potentially experiencing these things, I would definitely recommend reaching out to some of the supports that we're going to talk about later. And so if you're unsure of any of these things, please do reach out and seek professional help through myself, through your GP, through the mental health crisis team. We're all here to support you and the person who's going through a challenging time. Just to note that not everyone is going through all of these different things, distress can look different for all of us when we're going through a challenging time. So just focusing now on some practical support strategies that we as helpers can use to support other people. So one is to set time aside. So choosing a quiet, comfortable space to kōrero or have a talk. Two, encourage sharing. So gently inviting the other person to share their experience. Three, listening actively. So letting the person speak at their own pace without interrupting, using open questions to reflect back and ensure understanding. So open questions are where a person can respond with a variety of answers, whereas a closed question is a question that usually invites someone only to respond with a yes or no answer. And you might reflect back to ensure understanding. So you might start a sentence with, hey, so what I'm hearing is that correct? Acknowledging a person's feelings. So acknowledging their experience without judgment. Emotional expression takes courage. So I really hear that you are feeling sad at the moment. And this is really, I recognize that this is really hard. Thank you for sharing that with me. The next one is avoiding trying to fix things. I know myself included, we all want to offer to jump in and fix everything, but that's often not what the person needs. So resist diagnosing or jumping to solutions. Ask how you can best support. Often people know themselves best and what they need best in that moment. Supporting self-care. So ask the person about maybe activities that bring them joy or comfort, and maybe encouraging them in making a plan for what they might be able to do, even for that afternoon or that week or the next day, to look after their well-being. If needed, facilitate professional help. So you might offer to help them to find a professional who can support. A good place to start is your GP. And the last one, take time out together. So maybe you could engage in enjoyable or relaxing shared activities, whether that's going fishing or whether that's going for coffee or whether that's doing some gardening, whatever that might be for you guys. And lastly, just a note that if suicidal thoughts arise, asking directly won't plant the idea, but could save a life. If someone's sharing about suicidal thoughts or is already having suicidal thoughts, it's not going to put the idea in their head. They're already experiencing these, and by talking about it, we can do something about it. Yeah. And we'll talk about it a bit more about how you can link people up with some professional support as well.
Okay, here are some just examples of starting a conversation because understandably it can be a difficult conversation to start. So we've got some ideas to get these conversations going. So it could look like, could we have a cuppa and a chat? Or it could we talk over a walk, for example? Or it could be simply just saying, I've noticed you've had a lot on your plate right now. How are you doing? So as simple as these questions to help with you starting the conversation.
So the next part is supporting someone who wants to seek professional help. So if someone is wanting to seek professional help, there are certain things that you can do as a support person to make that a little bit easier. Often reaching out for professional help for the first time can be really scary and challenging. So you can make a big difference in this space. So the first one is to help the person locate reliable evidence-based resources. You might like to offer to assist them with booking and attending appointments, writing notes during the appointment, because sometimes when we're sharing these experiences for the first time with someone, we can be very anxious and not actually remember what happened during the appointment. Or you might like to help them with preparing questions to ask as well. You might also be able to offer other practical assistance. I know for some people, getting to the GP or getting to other professional support can be really challenging as far as transport issues go, or childcare issues, needing someone to look after their child for the afternoon so they can attend appointment, or maybe it's some household support as well. And if the person has a diagnosis already, it can be helpful to do some Googling. Healthify is a really good website that I know particularly Anu recommends to a lot of people to educate yourself on the diagnosis and treatment options to better support the person's journey as well. So supporting tamariki and children is similar to supporting adults, but slightly different as well. And if you need guidance on this, you're most welcome to book an appointment with me too. But it's about, if you're ever unsure, reach out to help by speaking with your GP or maybe a school counsellor, mental health professional, or calling a healthline. You can also promote more wellbeing skills early, before problems arise, by discussing topics, for example, as healthy ways to cope with strong emotions, identifying activities that bring joy and comfort, and supporting and caring for one another together. Now we're going to be talking about helping without burning out, because helping is a really good thing, but sometimes it can really impact our well-being and our health and what's going on for us, and that can actually mean that we're not able to be there for the person as much as we would like in the long term. So one of the questions I like to think about as far as preventing burnout goes is, how full is your cup? I like to think of ourselves as having a cup of coffee or hot chocolate or water, and we're giving that to other people. And so every time we do something to help someone else, we're pouring some of that liquid out into someone else's cup. We're being generous and giving it out to other people. But if we don't refill that cup, if we're not refilling that cup, we eventually run empty, and that's where we get burnout. So that's where it's really important to have some strategies to help us along the way to fill up our cup so we can then pour out to others. So one of the strategies we can use to fill up our cup is something called a self-compassion practice, which Anu and I will link some audio to some self-compassion practices that you might find useful too in the drop form link that you used to access this workshop. So
Sorry, you might
let's
have to start again. I heard some background noise.
yeah, hang on,
Yeah.
that was my phone
Okay.
dinging. Ash's daycare sending
Okay.
me
Yeah.
pictures. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So, self-compassion practice is something that we can use to fill up our cup when we're going through a hard time or we're supporting someone else to go through a hard time. And Anu and I will link some self-compassion resources to the Jot form link that you accessed this wellbeing workshop through. So if you want to practice it at home later, build it as part of your routine, something like that, you're most welcome to. So I'd just like you to be open to this practice. Just give it a go, experiment with it. Yeah. And it's helpful. Self-compassion practices are particularly helpful when we just need a little boost, but maybe someone we love or care about who supports us isn't able to be around for us in that moment. We can always give ourselves self-compassion. So what I'd like us to just do is get comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair or you're lying down or whatever you are doing, just getting comfortable, just relaxing and just taking this moment for yourself. And then if you like, you can keep your eyes open, but I recommend just closing your eyes for now. And what I'd like you to do, and I'll do it as well, and so will Anu, is just put your hand over your heart. And just taking some time to acknowledge that you are taking this time for yourself, to work on yourself, but also to learn skills to be able to be there for someone else. And that's challenging. And then just acknowledging that, understandably, there's often a lot of emotions and thoughts that come up when we are concerned about someone else. And that in itself can bring up a lot of suffering. And suffering is something that all humans go through. And that's something that we can be similar to others in. So just taking some deep breaths and just acknowledging that this is hard. This is really hard supporting someone else, and you might have your own areas of suffering in your own life that you're also got going on. And then what I'd like you to do is just noticing the warmth of your hand. And I'd like you to bring your hands into your lap and just cup them in front of you. Just imagining holding yourself now like a whimpering puppy dog or a crying baby. Your hands are hands that have cared for other people, that have maybe cared for children or friends, partners, neighbors, done many caring acts, and this time is just for you. No one else. Just feeling the warmth from these hands. Just acknowledging that this is really hard right now. Supporting someone is really hard, and that you're taking these steps, watching this workshop, engaging with this workshop because you care. And just allowing whatever thoughts or emotions to show up right now without judging them, just allowing them to be there. You might like to name them as you notice them. So it might be, here's my mind worrying about the future, worrying about the past. Here's some stress showing up right now. Maybe there's some sadness, maybe shame or guilt. Maybe noticing what's showing up in your body right now. Maybe you notice some tension, or maybe you feel relaxed in other areas. Maybe there's other types of emotions as well, like happiness showing up. Just noticing whatever's showing up for you right now and just allowing it to be as part of a human experience. And we're just going to bring our hands back to our heart. Just noticing the warmth of our hands radiating out. Just imagining it radiating out to the other areas of our body. This love that we can give to ourselves when we need it, on demand, if you will, even if there's no one else there right then to give us that love. We can take this time out to give ourselves a little boost, a little comfort in challenging times. Might be something that we want to do ahead of having a conversation with someone we're worried about, or after we've been supporting someone, just taking time to fill up our cup right now. And when you're ready, I'd like you to just take a deep breath through your stomach, filling up your stomach, breathing in and out through your mouth. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And that was the self-compassion practice. So just coming back into the room and just noticing what you noticed, non-judgmentally. And if you found that helpful, you're most welcome to have a look at the resources that we'll provide in the drop form link. All right, so following on from the self-compassion practice, there's lots of other things you can do to fill up your cup to support yourself while you're supporting others. So the first one is to look after the basics, so eating well and getting enough sleep. This is really important. We need to be looking after our brains and our bodies so that we have the energy and the capacity to support other people. Keeping up with activities you enjoy. Now, often those activities we enjoy are often the first to drop off when we're supporting someone else, but I really would recommend, even if you reduce some of the activities that you enjoy, that you don't stop them completely, because that's going to boost your mood and enable you to be more resilient in supporting someone. The next one, involving others in the support process. You don't have to do it on your own. So it could be that there's a group of you, or two of you, or three of you that support someone. In fact, it's actually better if someone has multiple people that they can reach out to. So if there are other people that might be able to support the person, I would encourage you to get them involved. And that just allows us to reduce the burnout as well. And share how you're feeling with someone that you trust, that you know will keep your confidence. This is challenging as well. Caring for others is takes a lot more energy and effort and emotional resilience than we often think. And so being able to talk about what's going on for you is really important. Notice and celebrating the small wins along the way. So often when we're going through health challenges or financial challenges or mental health challenges, whatever it might be, progress can seem really small, but it all does really add up over time. And so it is important that we actually take note of and celebrate the wins along the way, whether you celebrate that in your mind by yourself, with maybe other supporters of this person, or with the person themselves, and say, hey, you actually caught the bus today. That's a big step, whatever it might be. And then reaching out for help when you need it. So please, please, please do reach out for help when you need it. Sometimes it just gets all too much when we're caring for someone else. And we do need to take a break. Sometimes we just need a little bit of extra support, all of us. I see a lot of people at the clinic who reach out for help when they need it. So I encourage you to as well. So the other thing for us to think about when we're supporting someone so that we don't burn out is noticing and acknowledging and accepting what we can control and what we can't control. Now, this can be a real challenge. I acknowledge for me as well. I'm often a doer and I want to control everything and make everything better, but that often ends up causing more stress for me and more stress for the person that's being supported, and it doesn't actually progress anywhere. So just thinking about a few things that are in our control and focusing on those things, and then just acknowledging any thoughts or emotions that come up about the things that are in our control. So the things that are in our control that we can focus on are our actions and behaviors and what we choose to say or do. So we can be mindful about what we do, what we say, but there are many other things that are not in our control. So other people's emotions aren't in our control. It's not our responsibility to take on that and change those emotions. What other people think, we can't control that. How others act or respond to us, we can only increase the likelihood that it's going to go well. We can't, through our actions, we can't actually change it. Our automatic thoughts, so that's what our mind does. Sometimes our brain has these thoughts that are there to try and help us, but they're not super helpful. I like to think of the mind as an overly helpful friend. It's like a overly helpful friend or family member who's got some ideas that they want to share, but sometimes it just goes a little bit too far. And so sometimes we have some thoughts that aren't so helpful, but that doesn't mean we're a bad person or we're not supporting someone in the best way. And then also the other thing is that we can't control our emotional reactions again. Similarly, these emotions are there to help us, but sometimes our minds can go a little bit too far with them, and the emotions can be quite strong. So what we can do is choose how we respond to those emotions. So emotions that come up, they might be uncomfortable, but we can only control what we do in response to those. So now we're just going to move on to what to do if someone is in crisis, for example, as a risk to themselves or someone else. So I'm going to go over this quite specifically. I am going to be reading off the slide just because I want to make this process clear and hopefully it's useful for many of you. I have had many people ask me about this in clinic. So if there is immediate risk to physical danger, you need to call 111 to contact the police straight away. Police or ambulance. If you're in harm's way, remove yourself from the situation as soon as possible. If someone shares details about a suicide plan, such as the method or location, take it seriously. Act immediately to get help. Stay with them or make sure someone else is with them until professional support arrives. And if a person is at risk but not physically harmed and is not at risk of harming others, take them to the nearest emergency department, or you can call your local mental health crisis team. And I'll provide the phone numbers for the local mental health crisis teams later in the workshop as well. So going on from what to do if someone's in crisis, going into a little bit more detail, it can be hard to know what to say. So I just wanted to bring up a few examples of things that might be helpful. So it might be, I hear how much pain you're in. Let's call someone who can help right now. Or maybe you might say, you're not alone in this. I'm going to stay with you and help you get the support you need. This is an example of where it's not a situation where you might ask them if they need professional support. It's where you would actually call for professional support, regardless of what they say. So you might be asking, well, Tessa, you've been talking about these professional supports. What are they? So I've got a list here. We'll also put a list on the jot form that you accessed this workshop through. So the first ones are immediate emergency support, so 111. We've got the mental health crisis lines here. We've got suicide support, so for when you're concerned about someone attempting suicide or thinking about suicide. Health advice, that includes Mangere Health Centre. And if you could go to the next one, Anu. So we've also got counselling support. So these are brief, short-term supports, helplines. So need to talk, 1737. So you can call in the middle of the night if you just need to talk to someone separate who is separate from your whānau and just need to talk a little bit more. WhatsApp is a really good one for 5 to 18-year-olds to talk to a professional counsellor. As far as our Pacifica people go, Ola Lele is a national Pacific helpline that runs during office hours, Monday to Friday, and they can support someone who speaks Samoan, Tongan, Cook Island Māori, and in English. Then we have Asian support, so we've got the Asian helpline from Asian Family Services, and we have the family violence information line as well. So please, as it says here, please do feel free to reach out to me at the clinic. So I'm the health improvement practitioner, and I can guide you towards different resources, whether that's myself supporting you or we have lots of other services that I could recommend as well, often that are free or low cost. And just a few more community and professional support resources. So these are not so much helplines, but things that might be helpful for you as the supporter and just wanting to, I guess, do a little bit more training or gain a little bit more knowledge in this area. So for example, there's a range of suicide prevention trainings, mental health first aid trainings, which are really good, just around getting a bit more information around recognizing signs of distress and what to do about it. Yellow Brick Road is a really great resource for families of people who experience mental health and alcohol and drug conditions. And they have support groups. They can also do one-to-one support and support you with supporting your loved one. Parent to Parent is a great resource as well. They provide free support for parents or children with disabilities. And the Mental Health Foundation has a lot of resources as well. Much of the content that we've gone over today is drawn from them. So they have lots of support resources for helping people who might be going through mental distress as well. So now that we've talked about different professional support options, Anu and I always like to finish with a practical action plan, something that you can take away from this workshop. So this is where your pen and paper that we talked about way at the start comes in handy. So I'd like you to write down a small step you could take to support a person you care about. You might like to pause the video if you need a little bit of extra time as well.
So once you've written down your plan, rate your plan with how likely you are to take that step. So from 0 to 10, 0 being never in a million years, and 10 being I will definitely do this. Rate your plan from 0 to 10.
So after that, I'd like us to write down one other small step as well. So I'd like you to think of a small step you could take to support yourself as you support a person you care about. So it might be some of the strategies we've talked about today. It might be the self-compassion practice. It might be making sure you eat enough. Lots of different options there. So just take this time to write that down and pause the video if you need to. And then I'd like you to write down how likely you are to take that step from 0 to 10, with 0 being never in a million years and 10 being I will definitely do this. 7 and above tells us you're pretty likely to do it. If it's below 7, we'll talk a little bit about some strategies that might help you to be more likely to do your plan in a minute. So taking this time, pause the video if you need to. All right, barriers and supports to taking a step. So I'll give you some examples of some things that might be barriers for some people, and then we can talk about some supports and things that might help you get around it. So the barrier for someone might be, I might forget. So there's lots of different options about how we can make sure we remember to do this step. So it might be an alarm on our phone, it might be a post-it note, it might be telling someone for accountability, putting a note on our fridge or in our car. Another option might be, I might get interrupted. So I need to decide to take my step in a different time of day or at a different place, even just within my house. So just writing down, I guess, if you rated either of those steps, the likelihood of you doing them as 7 or below, what might be the barrier, and then thinking about what are some simple ways I might be able to increase the likelihood of me doing that step. And just pause the video if you need to. All right, and we're coming to the end, guys. If you've watched this long, well done. So as we mentioned before, just a reminder again that I, as the health improvement practitioner, and Anu as the health coach, we're based at Mangere Health Centre. Appointments are free and they're available in person or via phone. We're often a lot more available than the doctors, so please do call us up. We often have same day or next day appointments. And you can also fill out the feedback form or call Mangere Health Centre, and the number's just there as well. All right, lastly, feedback. We would love, love, love to hear how you found today's session. If you are able to, it'd be awesome if you can fill out the brief questionnaire and feedback form. So the questionnaire, it gathers anonymous statistics that we can send back to the Ministry of Health and our primary healthcare organisation to keep the service funded that we are a part of. But it also helps us to make changes for future workshops and keep our service free as well. All right, and we've just got a closing, I think. So I'd just like to leave us with this. You've done really well. There's some hard topics that we covered today, and I'd just like to close off our session with this quote. Care for yourself, or you will have nothing left to care for others. Self-care is not selfish. You cannot serve from an empty vessel. All right, ka kite guys, really appreciate you joining us. All the best. Do reach out if you're needing extra support.